Welcome to Multidimensional Memo Radio, the place to take a walk on the wild side. So I spent all day at work thinking about the files I was looking at last night and decided when I got off work I was going back in to look at them. So as I booted up my computer, it did something different, something rather strange that it hadn't done before. You see, this time a whole new screen came up, and all it simply did was blink green. So after a while of just letting it blink green, finally a command prompt came up.
Please enter access credentials.
Please enter access credentials. This is weird. I had never seen this screen on my computer before, so honestly, I was just a little bit confused. So after sitting around and thinking for a while, I figured it was probably the name Gemini Star, so I said, what the heck? And I tried it. And then after blinking for a while, it came up with a screen that said, password. It took me a couple attempts, but finally figured out my password. Should have figured it'd be something easy like that. Next thing I knew, the screen went black, and in green letters, all it kept saying was,
Authenticating. 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 Authenticating.
and then suddenly the screen started flashing, and the whole text changed again.
Access granted. Welcome back, Junior Researcher Gemini Star.
Well, that's nice. I've never had my computer say welcome to me before. And then all of a sudden it laughed, a throaty laugh, and then another message came across.
Please enter a command prompt.
Enter a command prompt. Well, it'd been a while since I had seen a computer be this retro, so I figured maybe the command prompt was old school code. So I typed in a directory command, and it gave a whole menu. So then I looked for resume, and I thought about how I had left off on a file last night. So I said resume.
January 15th, Site 120, Częstochowa, Silesian Voivodeship, Poland. It had been 2 days, yet the festivities back home at Site 120 were still in full swing. It wasn't every day that you stop the apocalypse, and even rarer that you do so twice within a few decades. A few personnel drunkenly staggered through the near-empty halls, while some senior researcher crooned at a off-key over the intercom. For a moment, all was good. Mag sat in her office, tapping a foot to the muffled rendition of Dancing Queen that barely strained through her closed door. She had partaken in the festivities, of course. Lukewarm soda and a half-eaten cookie lay scattered on her desk, but there was work to be done, and she couldn't get distracted by so much fun in one lifetime. Besides, she really needed some quiet, and the door suddenly opened, and a certain redhead poked her face inside. "Hey." Mag finished a signature with a flourish, setting aside a ream of manila folders. "Hey," she smiled. Jessie invited herself in, sprawling on a couch at the far corner of the room. "So, you doing anything right now?" "Not really, no. I just got off the phone with King Ragna. Apparently a legion of Troganians just appeared in Wrocław, ready to fight Mab," she gently chuckled. "Only problem is they emerged from some old lady's rose bushes. I mean, the amnestics alone." She rubbed her temples. "God, I forgot that saving the world needed this much paperwork." Jessie crossed over to the desk, idly tapping her fingers. "You know, you don't have to be on all the time. We defeated the physical manifestation of evil. Or, well, the closest to it we've got. You deserve a night off." The intercom vocalist hit a particularly high note, and Mag rolled her eyes. "So I can duet with Jeremy on Mamma Mia?" "Definitely not that." Jessie laughed. Underneath the table, her leg bounced nervously. "We could get some fresh air? There's this tire infusion in Esterberg that I've been dying to try." "What do you think?" A flicker of something went across Mag's face. "It's a date. 15th of January, the Starless Street, Esterberg, Częstochowa, Silesian Voivodeship, Poland." A cold worry strangling their thoughts, A.L.B. Tierney nervously paced the warehouse rooftop. No signal. Fiat promised a signal. V knew he had a penchant for the dramatic, but in the name of the Queen, if he did, V felt the barrel of a gun press against their back. A gloved hand clasped their mouth. "Your bodyguards are dead," a rough voice exclaimed. "Scream, move, try anything stupid, I empty this into you." In just a moment, the press got harder. Then, the hand moved away. A.L.B. gasped, struggling to force air back into their lungs. Who are you?" V sputtered in between coughs. For a moment, nobody said anything. So V used that time to try to get an answer herself. From their periphery V saw it. Humanoid, crisp black suit, skeletal. V sighed. Marie Sarant. Guilty as charged. An almost unnoticeable smirk went through her voice. "Fiat is dead." V didn't move a muscle. "Shame. You don't sound too broken up about it." "Fiat was misguided," V said, just a bit of disgust in the words. "Weak. He lost himself in his insane ramblings more often than not. He was not worthy of Mab's embrace. I assume the ritual failed?" A.L.B. felt the barrel lift from their back. Sarant crossed over to sit on the ledge, keeping a steady gaze, which was, frankly put, rather impressive given her lack of eyes, and weapon trained on Ver the whole time. "Mab is dead. Foundation killed her." V scoffed with something Marie recognized as almost pity. "She isn't gone. It'll take more than that to get rid of a god. Especially of a god of that magnitude." Their jaw clenched as Sarant reached into her pocket. She pulled out a cigar and a lighter. "Be that as it may, looks like the chain of command of your little triumvirate cell is gone. That is, except for you. So you've come here to kill me?" "Similar enough." Marie shrugged. "Job offer. Triumvirate's a headless chicken, now that they cut off Mab. It may run around for a few months, but the Foundation's coming for you, and they're coming down hard." She let herself pause for dramatic effect. "What you helped do back in '85 don't mean jack shit to them, so don't even try it." Heard they've even got a few liaisons out in Geneva to strong arm the free ports into taking out every cell you have. Pretty soon you won't be able as much as breathe in a port without a frisking by the blue helmets. Their hand dropped ever so slightly down into their pocket. Or we consolidate. Join forces, and I smuggle you and yours out of here to one of my safe houses, and you lay low for a few months until the heat dies down. Do a couple odd jobs for me every so often, and I keep the skippers off your back. Win-win, everybody's happy. Then, there was a knife. Aerolite. Flashbang with an Iska style illumination spell, and she could pierce the cranium in less than a second. What if I say no? Sarant lit the cigar, the smoke trailing up into the night sky. There's a gawky strike team 800 meters above us. 3 separate task forces circling the building. And I hear city patrols got an honest-to-God dragon that they're scrambling as we speak. I say the word, and it's go time. You're bluffing. Could be, but are you willing to take that chance? V scoffed again. So what is this, extortion? Bring a damned army, kill my guys, and expect me to submit? This operation was going to go through with or without me. They've had a sniper trained on you, don't bother, anti-medic cloaking, since you stepped into the building. I told them to give me 10 minutes, and I could convince you to dissolve your triumvirate band. You've got brains, and, more importantly, a conscience, which is in ever short supply these days. She leaned against the wall, cocking her head at the Fae. Then, she continued, I'm heading south towards the docks. There's a boat captain waiting for me, you're tech-bound. If you accept the offer, feel free to come along. If not, best of luck. Without another word, the skeleton somersaulted over the edge and into the night, cigar smoke trailing behind. Alone in the cold of the Polish winter, Albitierne stood for a moment, and made their decision. 15th of January Esterberg's Market District, Częstochowa, Silesian Voivodeship, Poland. Despite the brisk winter air, the atmosphere of Ambrosia's garden was comfortably warm. Whether it was due to the surges of fire magic running through the heaters around it or the woman that sat across the table, Jessie Rivera could not quite tell. The 2 days that had passed since Mab's failed insurgents have passed quickly. A little too quickly, perhaps, during all that rush to get everyone in the best shape and report to Overwatch Command and O4 and God knows who else, Jessie had barely any time to actually plan today. But with everything finally put into motion, knowing there was no cosmic god or equally hellish bureaucrat that could now stop her from doing what she had wanted to do for so long, she smiled. The place is pretty, Magdalene Cornwell commented, the kindness in her voice almost so uncharacteristic to people that didn't know her. Finally off duty, she was wearing her best dress tonight. Its reds contrasted wonderfully with her beautiful hair, which fell down her face. She was so pretty Jessie could barely see the bandages wrapped around her arm. Noticing Jessie's glance, she chuckled, hope the food is just as good. Yeah, she replied, a slight tone of nervousness entering her voice. She herself was wearing her fanciest, it would feel wrong to pick up anything but that tonight. Yet even then, she was unable to rid herself of all of her anxiety. But then again, would she even be human if she was able to? Suddenly, Mag's eyes locked with Jessie's. She swallowed, and put her hands together. Jess, we've been dancing around something for a while, now. What, 5 years? And I've been meaning to talk to you about that something. Jessie could practically feel the sweat start to go down her face. Yeah, me too. For a moment, they didn't speak, they just looked at each other, trying their very best to ascertain whether they were both thinking the same thing. Eventually, though, Jessie cleared her throat, and put forward a hand, its fingers almost trembling. Unsure of what to say, Mag looked at her palm, which now moved slowly as violet sparks ran through it. Jessie snapped her fingers, and a single silver ring appeared between them. A beautiful iridite crystal sat atop it, a few jolts of magic still trapped inside it, still burning with their rainbow colors. She inhaled, a slow shiver going down her spine. Magdalene Cornwell, Jessie started, her purple eyes looking directly at Mag. "Will you marry me?" For a horribly long moment, Mag didn't reply. But then, she smiled, and picked up the gift gently. "Yes, Jessie," she replied, tears of joy starting to form in her eyes. "I will." And, as the two embraced each other once more, everything else stopped being important. No map, triumvirate, and no foundation. The only thing that mattered now and forever was just Jessie and Mag, brought together by their shared compassion. In that very moment, both of them were more than sure they were the only thing they could have ever wanted or needed. For all of eternity. 15th of January, Esterberg's sewer district, Częstochowa, Silesian Voivodeship, Poland. Nobody, however, could not say that for himself. The hunger that burned his soul from the inside out was still far from being satisfied. Somewhere deep inside Esterberg's sewer district, the bony crossbow bearer stood, frantically searching through his hideout. He scribbled something down one notebook after another, desperately trying to make sure the knowledge of what happened to Mab wasn't lost. He had banished her from the city, of that he was sure, but everything on heaven and earth pointed to the fact that that was only a part of the dreaded queen. Her rest, he thought, was still somewhere out there, quietly biding its time until its inevitable return. And he could not allow it. Even as the frenzy of the hunt overtook him once more, nobody could not forget what had transpired inside of Mab's hell. His name hadn't changed, he still felt he was no one else but nobody, but deep down inside him, something broke. And he was afraid of it. He could feel that a part of him, a part of his soul, was now split, unable to choose between the hunter he was and the Damian Novak he had once been. And, he feared, it was there forever now. Always waiting for nobody to make the inevitable choice. It was tearing him apart from the inside. With every move, every step he took, he felt that split inside him only deepen, but he ignored it all the same. He had a job to do. So he was about to do it well. Suddenly, nobody snapped his notebook closed, and picked up his crossbow. With a heavy heart that wasn't a heart, he looked down at his previous layer, and rummaged all the remaining items within it that he could still find useful. After a while, he knew he was ready. He corrected his white hat, opened the map of Mab's possible locations, and deadlocked on the next position he marked down upon it. The hunt was far from over. Session terminated.